Hey, welcome to a new lesson of this first exercise. Here is what we have done so far. Let's hit play. Cool, right? So, it's time to make the final transition, and that will be the movie title. So, we need to set this a little farther on the position. Let's open with the U key on the keyboard. This one should be remaining here for at least 1 second. We can create a keyframe. And now for this final transition, we will make things a little different and a lot easier too. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to create a new solid layer. And we are going to use this solid layer as a fade out, as a fade in black solid. We're going to make this black, click OK. Now I want that on this point, when we have 1 second with this word, I want this black solid to begin. So I'm going to hit the opening bracket on this point, on this exact place where the last keyframe is for the camera orbit null. Let's leave this as it is. And of course it can't start just like this. I'm going to create a fading effect with the opacity. So if you press the letter T on your keyboard, it will open the opacity property. So we can create a keyframe here on the beginning and move some frames later and create a new one. So on this first keyframe, if you double click on the keyframe, you can change the opacity here or just change it as we usually do with the type control here. So now the animation will go like this. Alright. Actually, let's make this solid different. Let's change the color. Let's go to layer. To change a solid color, you just, instead of going to composition settings, you just go to layer and click on solid settings. Now here you can change the color, and we're going to use a really dark blue. Now click OK, and yeah, that's much better. So this will fade in, and now it will fade out. Try to keep the same distance and make this 0% again. So it will be like this. Now I want this black part to remain for a little bit, so I'm going to copy this keyframe and paste it here, so we have a longer time here. Okay, now when we open up, it's like closing our eyes here, like a little curtain, when we start seeing the composition again, we can no longer be seeing this text because we will see the movie title. So we need to grab this layer, the Hero Will Rise layer, and trim it. So we will trim it on this point, right when we see all black. And to trim it, we just need to press Alt and the closing bracket on your keyboard. And that brings the end of the layer to this point. Of course, you can move this manually, but it's so much easier to just press the current time indicator, which is this one, this little pin here, and press Alt and closing bracket. So now when we start seeing again, we're going to be looking at an empty space. Of course, this empty space will be filled with the movie title. Now we will no longer move the camera orbit, so we can close it. And now let's create the movie title. So let's create a new text layer. And let's type the movie title, which I think it should be something like The Chosen One. Since we are already creating a cliche movie, I think this title is really proper. So instead of this font, I'm going to use a font, a really futuristic font called Ender, or Anders. I'm going to share this font with you, of course. Now this one should be smaller. Let's make it 80 pixels. And the color, the fill color, will be white. Click OK. Maybe it can be bigger, 90 pixels. OK. Now let's take a closer look here. This needs some working, of course. Now it's time to create a new shape layer. And this shape layer will be just a little line, very thin line here on top of the title. Let's change the fill to white. And let's duplicate this shape layer, and the duplicate will be placed here on the bottom. So we have here The Chosen One. Yeah, this looks nice. Now make sure that these all are on the same color. Let's grab a pink color for them. And we don't even need to make this 3D because we're not going to move around the space anymore. So we can right click on it and pre-compose. Let's call this movie title. Click OK. And now on this movie title we're going to add some effects. Of course, if you have a pre-comp, you can still create an effect. Let's add some glow. Instead of original colors, let's grab A and B colors on the glow color section, and we're going to change the color A to a light blue and the color B to a dark blue. Now let's increase this radius and let's increase the intensity too. The intensity could be around 4. Yeah. and the radius maybe 20. I think 50 instead. Something like this can look really cool. Let's see how it looks with the particles. Yeah, it's looking really nice. So here we have the transition, and we see the movie title here, but this movie title should start right on this point. And of course, there's one thing that we need to fix, and it's that the solid needs to be on top of everything, and the movie title of course has to be beneath, so that this happens. We see the solid, and now we see the movie title. So when we see the movie title, we should wait like 3 seconds or something. Actually, let's stop this on 17 or on 18 seconds. Right here. So we can trim this composition already. Instead of 50 seconds, let's make it 80 seconds. And to do that, we're going to press the letter N, and this will bring this work area N to this point, the exact point where we are pointing with the current time indicator. Now, when we have this, make sure that the start area is here on the beginning, and now we can right click on this ruler and select the trim comp to work area. This will cut the composition time to this point exactly. So now you can see that the timeline will last only for 18 seconds. Because of course we need this animation to end here. The animation has to end sometime, and it should end on this 18 seconds. So now it's time to render this file, and of course I'm going to show you how to render a file on After Effects. It's actually easy, but it has some nice tricks, so I'm going to show you that on that final lesson that comes next.